Die podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Angeli, and our topic today is mental health, guys. How we feeling?
Feeling good.
Good. Before we get into that, let's talk about our weeks real quick. Maya, how was your week today? This week?
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good. What'd you do?
I celebrated your birthday.
Thank you.
Yay.
Happy birthday to Angeli.
Yeah, I'm 17. Happy birthday to Maya. She's 17 tomorrow.
Oh. Happy birthday, Maya, in advance.
Thank you.
Okay, let's transition to Sean now. Sorry, guys.
Let me introduce myself.
Oh, yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ishad. I am a creative part of Create or Die. I do photography and spray painting art. So if you're ever interested in that,
Very cool.
let me know. I have 2 pages, a Spreason, Spreason. That's on Instagram. let me just plug in real quick. Shameless plugs. I do spray paint and art over there with a couple of my friends, and then I have my own photography account, mountain.ice.studio. Find that on Instagram.
Go check it out for some cool car pics, guys.
Yes, for sure. Car pics,
Portraits
portraits,
as
anything. Let me know. My week was pretty good. Type my Instagram.
Keep talking. No
Yeah,
bullshit.
so my week was pretty good. I went to southern Alberta,
Bro, follow
found some
himself.
pretty cool lakes, and enjoyed nature. I'll pass it along.
My name is Lacoris, but I mainly just get called Hickey. What was I supposed
How
to
was
say?
your week?
How was your week?
It was okay. I went to a couple. I went to a show.
Ooh.
I
A
got
concert?
recognized.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
That was
How
really
was
cool.
that?
I wasn't expecting it.
Ooh.
This guy performed, and he does like the same type of stuff I do.
Oh,
So
nice.
I like.
What's the artist's name?
His name is Yikes. Shout out.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Sounds
But
really
he,
cool.
after his set was done, I like walked up to him. My phone was dead, so I like got a Sharpie. And I was like, write your email on my arm. I want to send you beats. And he was like, oh, that's so cool. What's your name? And I was like, Hickey. And he was like, Prod by Hickey, the one who's worked with this. Yeah, that was weird.
Wow,
That was
is
really
dope.
cool though. Shout out you.
You.
Shout out Yikes.
Shout out Yikes. That's really it.
I'm Jasmine.
How was your
my
week?
was I just came back from vacation. I went to Nova Scotia, PI, and Cape Breton. It's actually
Ooh.
so nice there on the East Coast. But and then I celebrated my brother's birthday, which is the day after Angeli's.
Oh.
And then I made him a cake, and then I made a cake again yesterday for another celebration. So yeah. My
What
week
cakes?
was kind of stressful because making
Oh.
cakes are hard.
Wait, what flavor cakes?
I made a strawberry Fraser cake, and basically it has like a cake bottom, and then it has this thing called creme mousseline, and then it has like
fancy.
strawberry puree, and then like another piece of cake, and then another strawberry puree on top. It's fancy, so yeah.
Was it
I
bussin'?
accomplished that.
Was it bussin'?
Was it bussin'? Yeah, it was bussin'.
It
It was
was.
actually pretty good, but I'm actually lactose, so like,
Oh,
I had to
no.
take a lactase before.
You gotta sacrifice sometimes,
Yeah, I had
right?
to sacrifice, exactly. But yeah, my week was okay, stressful, but yeah, here I am.
I'm Anaya, and my week was pretty good. I have been watching Succession recently. I'm on season 3. I love that show.
You
so
watch it on Netflix?
no, it's an HBO show. It's not Netflix. Yeah.
Ah.
So I went to downtown, and then I took some photos, like corporate buildings,
Oh.
because Succession is like all about corporate stuff. So that was really
so you
cool.
Oh,
like-
this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was inspired.
I know, kind of. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my god, that's cool. Wait, I don't know what to say now. I don't know.
Well, how was your week?
How was my week? My week was
Uh,
pretty good. I dinner for my birthday as well. I went with one of my friends. She actually shares the same birthday as me. So we had our birthday party on the same day, kind of. We ate barbecue. Hey, barbecue.
BBQ.
That was good.
Ooh.
I was so scared that I'd undercook my chicken.
I
bro.
ate I ate a lot of raw
Yeah,
meat that day.
raw meat, bro.
A lot of raw
Hey,
meat.
Did you
Oh,
guys cook
no.
it yourself?
Huh?
Did you cook it yourself?
Yeah, it was
Dang.
scary,
No,
bro.
I had no
Raw
instructions.
chicken is
bro.
terrifying. Yeah.
I had my
Raw
own
chicken?
grill. Everyone
Yeah.
just left it, and there was like raw meat,
Yeah,
all that, bro. I
You
didn't
just
know what I
had
was doing.
one grill to yourself. It was, yeah. I was cooking for like 2 other people who knew how to cook, but I don't know how to cook.
Why
so
did they
it
let
was,
you do
Yeah,
that's what
why
I'm
did they let
saying.
you cook?
I was telling them to
Salmonella
cook, and I was like, I don't know
poisoning.
how to do this. I don't know when chicken's done. Like, you have to wait
But didn't it have
till
really
it's
good rice cake things or something?
Rice
The
cake?
spicy.
Oh, the spicy rice cakes, yeah. Those are
Tteokbokki?
good.
They weren't
tasted
spicy
like-
till like
Tteokbokki.
10 minutes later, and then I started dying with them.
Yeah.
Is that what's called? It's like it starts with a T.
Yeah.
Tteokbokki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tteokbokki.
We're not about to
Tteokbokki.
butcher it on like
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
I'm
gonna butcher
butchering.
it.
Yeah,
Spicy
for
rice
sure.
cake.
You know what are they called?
Anyways. Guys, let's talk about our favorite colors again.
Our
Okay.
No, I
favorite
have to
colors?
Should we talk about our favorite colors in association with our mental health?
Yes, yes.
Ah.
Guys, how was this week? Tell me in a color.
How was this week in
yeah,
a color?
so you already told me your week, but tell me your week like as a color.
As a color.
I think my week was like pastel blue. It was
Ooh.
pastel blue.
Like
Pastel
matching
blue.
your dress.
Yes, guys. Flowers. I got frog clips on.
Yeah.
I like frogs.
From Maya.
Yeah. 'Cause she looks like a frog.
Damn.
And
Okay,
speaking
mine-
of mental health, that has affected me.
My week was like, I don't know, a green, like the color of it. Like meh, but like
Meh?
also good, but like also stressful. So
Also stressful.
yeah,
Yeah.
green. I go with green.
I go with like blue, like sky blue.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's like
Mm.
free.
Yeah.
Like free as a bird.
Oh,
know, right?
yes.
Mm.
Oh my god.
I think my week was a burgundy. I don't know why. It just comes to mind. I think it's on my. Is that burgundy? It's a color. Yeah.
I think
Is
it's
that
close
very-
enough.
That
It's
is
close enough.
burgundy.
I would say my week was like a dark blue. I've been around a lot of water, you know, just
Ooh.
Ooh,
lakes
Waterton.
and yeah,
Wait, so
Waterton.
Waterton has a
that's-
lot of water.
Yeah, it does actually have a lot of water and greenery. So yeah, just feeling
That's
very calm and
nice.
chill this week.
Yeah. Oh my god. I went stargazing and I saw the Milky Way. Can you
Ooh.
believe that?
I want
We
to go
did-
stargazing.
Yeah, I know. We went like 2 hours out of the city though, just to get out of the like haze and stuff.
Damn.
It was just these random like farmlands, and it was like in the middle of nowhere. And all of a sudden we heard like dogs barking. It was kind of scary.
Dog
I was like, where are the dogs coming from?
Wait, I have a question. How do you see the Milky Way if you're in the Milky Way?
Good question.
Wait,
a
wait,
good
that
question.
is a
Yeah.
good question. What?
Exactly. Like,
Maybe
is it like
Maybe
a
we're just like
reflection?
usually
bad at
from
astrology.
within, like,
but like,
you see the inside of the Milky Way, but not the outside of the Milky Way.
Oh, okay, okay.
Wow.
So are you seeing like
Okay.
the opposite side? Does the opposite
Yeah,
side
yeah,
see
yeah.
the same though?
Maybe different. Maybe like the other side's like green or something. I don't know.
Do you think there's like aliens on the other side? Like,
Yeah, for
wait,
sure.
Wait,
On-
wait, this
yeah.
is wait. Can I say this? This
Yes.
is unrelated, but like, okay, so aliens. Okay, you're gonna be like, Jasmine's crazy, but like, aliens are real, 'cause like, so the somebody from the U.S. government came out and was like, they're like a whistleblower or whatever, but like he was like a general or something like that, and then
general.
he came out and he was talking about how like there's just like a lot of like files and stuff about like aliens, and they're like.
Well,
real.
based
What?
on how big the universe is, and
Yeah,
how we're
yeah, it's
literally
just
so tiny, there's
bound.
gonna be more.
Yeah.
We're probably the aliens as well.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, are we aliens
cool
to
stuff.
aliens?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Wait, should we be
How
talking
different.
about mental health? So, aliens.
Do aliens have mental health? Are we the only like?
Wait, that's so real.
Okay, but like think about it. Are we like technically the only? Can animals have mental health
yeah,
problems?
because
Yeah.
like dogs can actually be depressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
like,
cats, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they can
And
take
cats,
like
yeah.
pills and stuff. They can be diagnosed.
Really? They can be
Like my
diagnosed and
cousin's
everything?
dog, he like I think he gets like really anxious or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But what makes us different from those animals?
Nothing
We have a
wrong.
conscious or something.
Are you trying to
Like, what
say
was
that
it?
like
Are you saying? But are you saying like dogs
Dogs.
and cats don't have consciousness?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the word for it is, but like, you know, like we are more aware of ourselves. and
you
more
saying that
aware.
we
Like
have,
we're
like-
able to comprehend more of like the world than dogs. Like the dogs
saying
aren't.
we
Yeah,
have,
like does
more,
AI have mental health?
No,
Yeah.
No.
you can maybe you can
robots.
program it, but it won't
I
actually.
hope
live.
not.
Yeah.
Like if okay, let's say like
You program
theoretically, if
symptoms.
they did have a consciousness, would they have like would they be affected by like if someone's like I hate you AI?
Well, I feel like if it has a
that.
conscious, then it's gonna be able to be affected by
But
mental.
will it really be affected if it knows everything?
Wait, does
AI
AI
can
have
like
consciousness?
no,
think
it doesn't
so.
have. It's artificial
Yeah, it doesn't-
intelligence,
yeah.
right? It's only like computer code. It's like kind of like inputting whatever it wants to know into like probably like a database or search engine,
Mm-hmm.
and then getting that information out and spitting it at you. So it's not
Dang
like
it.
thinking for itself. It's kind of like Google searching really fast.
Dang.
Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of like how
Have
AI
you
works.
experimented with AI?
I've used ChatGPT on maybe some
Assignments?
assignments. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know.
don't expose. Don't expose.
You're
yourself.
confessing here.
Yeah,
I don't
hey.
know. Maybe it might have helped out a little bit.
Are we?
I don't know. I'm a very good student. I don't cheat.
No, never, never,
Never.
guys.
I
But
feel
no,
like
it's really helpful.
Snapchat AI is also pretty good at that.
I made that guy confess he's racist.
What?
You did? How?
I have a screenshot. I'll show you later.
oh what?
Wait, those are so random.
Yeah,
A
what a
guy
ra-
or AI?
AI.
AI.
I saw somebody gaslight the
Yeah,
AI.
exactly. And I got it
Have
to
you
say
seen-
yes, it's racist.
Have you seen that one reel of someone gaslighting AI into thinking 2 + 2 is 5?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I feel like Snapchat is more like
Snapchat.
boring. So you
Yeah.
can't do as much. Like
You can't. Like literally, once you get to the point that
you can make it call you things. Okay.
you
What
can
are
make
you
it
doing in
speak.
your spare
I-
time
yeah.
with this AI?
She's torturing AI.
What is this? What is this toxicity?
Gaslighting?
Yeah,
And they're gonna
bro.
call you names?
What do you do for fun? I gaslight AI.
Okay. No.
Yo, maybe the AI does have feelings.
Yeah, you know what?
Maya and Angeli are just bullying this AI.
Okay, no.
Yeah. I made my AI one time. I tried to see how good it was, and I made it write a whole essay for me. I didn't use it.
I was bored. I just happened to have an extra assignment I needed.
My like
It was a
finger
test.
slipped.
Just like
My finger just
I was
slipped,
just
you know.
trying it out, seeing what it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
from a
yeah.
Wait,
cheating
have you
perspective.
Have you guys ever been bullied?
Bullied? That was
So
so
we're going out?
Where is this? the
Bullied.
turn on that? What?
I mean, we
What
were
a
talking about
We're talking about
like
AI.
bullying AI, or have you
Oh.
ever been a bully?
Like
Have you ever
you
been a
ever
bully?
been a
cyberbully
bully?
or like in person, any kind?
Yeah.
Damn.
Like I definitely know when I was a kid, I was like kind of stuck up because like
Yeah?
in like in like kindergarten and grade 1, I had like these 2 really close friends, and like we were like super tight. We were like a trio, right? And so like I just remember hating on everybody else. Like I was just like a hater.
Damn.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know. And then like some other people, and then I remember the teacher came up to us and they were like, "Oh, you should like try to like hang out with some of the other kids." But I was like, "No. Like I don't want
Okay,
to."
but from there, where did you like realize that you were kind of like the problem?
Conceited.
Or I
You're the
sorry.
problem.
No,
I
it
didn't mean that,
changed
but
when I went to a new school. I went to I finished grade 1 at that school, and then I went to grade 2 somewhere else. And then that's when like I was like, "Oh, I don't fit in here." And then I was like,
So,
"This is different.
oh.
Like I don't feel comfortable here."
You felt basically kind of like
like
What
an
you were doing to those
outsider.
kids?
yeah.
Huh?
like what you were doing beforehand? So, like is
Yeah,
it like you like
yeah.
kind of
I
switched
feel
roles?
like
I guess
it kind
maybe.
of flipped in a way. You
Yeah.
know, I was like, "Dang, this is what it feels like to be like." It's not until you like are put in that position that you feel
Yeah.
that way.
And I also it's
that
like
you
it's grade
understand
1,
it.
right? So
Yeah.
you're like you're being like influenced by everything. So like you could just make friends with someone. And you're like the same person the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you guys? Have you ever been bullied
Bully.
or been a
No.
bully?
I used to
I-
be a bully. I was so mean growing
Oh,
up. I
no.
was
Yeah,
so
I tell
rude.
kids they smell
Dang.
all the time. I'm
I
joking.
was
I didn't
like-
actually. I was just saying they're smelly.
That's,
grade
that's
3.
just you reflecting.
Ooh. Okay, but
Okay,
yeah.
but like I feel like that's a lot of the things though. It's like if you're like taught from it, it's like when you're bullying someone or if you're like kind of saying stuff to somebody, it's really like about what you feel about
You're
yourself.
projecting,
Insecurity,
right?
yeah.
And so it's like that's a
for
big
sure.
thing about that. So it's like
That's so real.
when you kind of understand that, it's like you can't really. It's kind of like cringe because like you can't really insult anyone because it's like, okay, do I feel like that about myself then? Like that kind of thing.
You start
To-
self-reflecting.
to add on to that, I do feel like a lot of bullying does start from someone else bullying the bully to them
right.
bullying other people based on how they feel about being bullied, so they can feel that power, I guess. Because it did happen to me at one point. I was a bully at one point.
Damn.
I had like my
Sean.
cousins bully me, and then I bullied the weird kids at school because I was like, you know what? They gotta be doing this for a reason, you know. I want to feel included. And then it kind of just went into.
Did you get like a power trip? You're like.
Yeah, at one point, and then I realized, after like I beat up this one kid, the teacher came up to me and he's like, "Look what you did," and I was like, damn.
Like you actually like.
I didn't beat him up, but like I just like punched
slapped
him, and I was
him?
like, he's like, "Yo, you can't be doing that out here," and I was like, "Word, that's true. I did
How
hurt his
old were
feelings."
you?
Word.
I was in like grade 4.
Oh, little
Yeah.
Oh,
polio
that-
shot.
Yeah,
Grade
like I
4.
took the guy's like, so it was like Halloween, and he had a Thor hammer, and I thought it was cool, so I just took it away from him. And then
No.
he was
You
like
started
fighting me for
hammering
it,
him with
and then
it?
I punched him, and then the teacher's like, "What are you gonna do to make up?" And I was like, he can punch me back, and he's like, "That's not." He's like, "That's not how you solve problems." He's like, "Look how you made him feel," and I was like, "Oh." I kind of made him feel bad, I guess, and then that's when I started
And
kind
then
of
they
getting
make
more
you
empathy.
say sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, and he's like, you gotta say sorry, but you gotta like mean it. Cause when I first said sorry, he's like, you don't mean it. You're just saying it to say it. So like, I had to like write a whole apology.
You had to
and,
like get on your knees.
not
and beg
not
for
get on my
forgiveness.
knees, but I had to like write an apology and be like, this is where I messed up, and I'm sorry I made you feel this way. And then that's when my empathy arc started.
Oh,
Dang.
that's
Empathy
nice.
arc, yes.
Empathy arc.
Oh my god, I remember me and Maya, we volunteered for a kids summer camp, and there was this one child. They're like 6 or 7 years old, and there was this one child who was like throwing sand in other kids' eyes and was pushing kids.
I mean, it was a camp for like specific children, so
yeah, it was like a wide, like some kids had like ranges of disabilities and stuff, so it
Alright.
was like a little harder to.
but I feel like witnessing that, considering there is some kids who weren't affected by disabilities, I guess it's like interesting to see from like they're so young, and then you can really see like the ranks, I guess.
The ranks, yeah, you
kids,
can.
like,
The
like you
cliques,
knew
the
who,
cliques.
yeah, like the one kid, like this person was, I guess, he's just not a very nice kid, but you can tell immediately when he met his family, like that's why he's like that, is from the parents. So I feel like again, when you get like, if you're getting like insulted now, like, or bullied now, it's like you're like, well, I can't really take it personal because like
It's
their
probably from
parents and
somewhere
stuff. Like
else.
there's so much like it can affect that. Like it's just you can't really take it like serious.
I think that's
Yeah.
like a really good point, like not to take it personally, because people like you don't really know what people go through sometimes, like at home or like outside or whatever, right? How they're affected by other people. So like when they put that upon you, sometimes it's like it's not really your like problem. It's like
Yeah, and going
theirs
off
in
of
a
that,
way.
like I feel like everyone said something that maybe they didn't mean or they did mean, like they were insulting somebody, and you can think back, were you really like saying that because of what they are, or was it like something you were reflecting from yourself because you were angry or
You're
something like that?
projecting. Yeah.
Like usually it's like that. So
Yeah.
It's like a cycle of hurt, One person hurts one person, then that person hurts another person, then it's up to
Mhm.
you to break that cycle, right? To
Yeah.
stop it and not take it personal, instead help that person,
It's so
Yeah.
hard though. It's just, sometimes you just don't wanna like. I don't know.
You don't want to take that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Like, man, I
I'm,
feel
like, angry,
disrespected. My
Yeah,
pride
yeah.
is getting in the
Sometimes
way.
there's like
sometimes
boundaries,
You
right?
have to
Yeah.
stand up for yourself, right?
Yeah.
To,
because
Yeah.
no matter if you like understand all that, it's not gonna be like they're insulting you, be like, oh, I understand, or like, oh, it's okay if you insult me. Like that's not gonna like change their mind.
Mhm.
People are just like that sometimes. So
Yeah.
that's not always like the right way to go about it.
I definitely think it does depend on the situation. Depends like how close you are with that person too, or like
Oh yeah.
Of
if you've known
course.
them in the past, or if you know people like around them and stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it's some like random guy, then obviously you're not gonna be like, you're not gonna be like, yo, let's talk about it, buddy. But it's like if it's someone you've known for a while and they're kind of like an ass to other people, then that's when you could be like, yo, is something going on here? Like, why are you kind of acting this way or stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
So do you think like staying empathetic is easier with like strangers or with the people you have known? Like when they hurt you, do you think your first thing is gonna be
I feel like
empathy,
definitely
communication?
I feel like with strangers it's different because you have more of an like objective view, you know? You don't really know that much about them. I mean, obviously people assume things about other people from their initial appearance, right? But like I feel like I can kind of see myself, you know, I feel like people who are closer to me definitely see like, you know, like the side of me that's like, you know, not like that I can be like angry or whatever kind of. I feel like family members will definitely, you know, see that or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, to build onto that, I feel like it's way easier to be empathetic to those around you, like that are close to you, because you know the reason why they're like that,
Right,
or
that's
like
true.
the reason why they're doing those actions. But with a stranger, you don't know the reason why. You can go ask them why, but they may not be able to give it up because everyone has that kind of social shield that they keep up, you know. It's hard to get more vulnerable with a stranger than with someone you've known for like a couple years.
Yeah, and you can think of it the other way. If this person's so random and they're like insulting you, then they're obviously not just a very not a very nice person. If it's your friend, like it's like obviously like if they had a very nice person this entire time, it's probably just a bad day.
Yeah, like you've known them for so long, I guess.
Yeah, but if it's random, then it's kind of like it's not really about you. They're just being not very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, if a random insults me, I don't know. I just like it
Random.
doesn't like register, because you know I just don't think people would like go in your face and go like, you're ugly, you're smelly, you know, like it just feels a little weird, you know.
Kind of just like brush them off. You're
Yeah.
like, yo, I don't know why you're doing this,
It's
but
okay.
I'm just gonna move over here.
Those
you know?
Roblox kids are wild. They don't hold back.
God, bro.
Was that your first experience of getting bullied
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Roblox?
On
Roblox
Roblox.
high school guys, they were all bullying me because I didn't have like alpha male in my bio or something, and they all were.
You didn't
like,
have / mysterious.
Yeah.
Wait, do you guys think like bullying on like in like games or whatever, is it like real?
I mean, depends how far it goes. I feel like it, like most of the time you can just brush it off like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like people are just saying things just to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah.
It's when they take it a step farther and they start like messaging you like personally or like coming after
Okay,
you
yeah,
and like
that's just straight up
doxing you off the
weird.
internet.
Yeah.
And it's like
that's weird.
it's like, yo, what
Yeah.
did I do
Yeah.
to you?
They
You
add you
know?
in random group chats just to like bash you.
Oh
with their
yeah,
phones.
then
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
that's like
That's
bullying.
wild.
Middle
Wild.
school, that actually happened a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
Online
During
stuff.
quarantine,
During
it happened
COVID,
a
yeah,
lot.
all
People
those
would
online.
add
Yeah.
group
Quarantine,
chats
yeah.
and then with their whole friend group
Really?
like ganging up on
that's
you.
messed up.
It's funny. Like,
even
why
know
are
that.
you so
Funny?
like? Why do you say?
Well, because
Are
it
you
stays online though.
Yeah, it stays.
Like none of them are actually like when it's online. It's like it's a different kind of thing because it's like you have even less respect for them than if they're just insulting you in person because it's like
Yeah.
you're not saying it to me
Yeah.
and you're saying it with other people. You're not saying it to me, and even if you were, you're not doing it online. You're not messaging me directly either. So I'm just like. I feel like you can brush it off way more as well.
I feel like it's way easier to definitely bully someone online because you don't see their reaction or you don't see like anything. So it's kind of
Less
more like
consequences.
it's
Yeah.
more like dehumanizing in a way. Like
Yeah.
you
That's
don't see that
interesting.
person as a person. You just see
So
them as
true.
like something to make fun of, you know. But when you see
Yeah.
like a person, I feel like you can have more empathy and then you just feel bad about what you say, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like seeing them as a person makes you feel a little bit more like,
Conscious.
yeah, I guess. Like I don't know, if I see them in a person, it makes it kind of like more like I'll be like, oh yeah, I should hate on you or something. Like,
Damn. Are you saying?
like
Are you saying
online,
it's
it's kind of
worse?
detached to me. Like it's detached, right? But then, yeah, in person, you can just I don't know.
Wait,
It's
what are you
way-
talking? Like when if you're the bully,
If I was,
that's easier in person.
yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Why
didn't you
And
elaborate?
Lily has the
Because
flip
it's
side. I don't know
like
where
you
my
said,
head
like-
is at right
Well,
now,
like you
right?
said, it was like it's detaching online, so it's like it's more of like a waste of time there. And
Yeah.
so you actually get the satisfaction of
Yeah.
harassing them in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know where I just went with this, but
I feel like that's like more like hardcore. But I'm gonna like. If
I
you're
was
talking
thinking
about
like K-dramas, you know, like
K-drama?
K-drama bullying, you know.
No.
Okay, but
Bro,
those
it's
are-
wild.
those are
They're
horrible.
wild,
we're talking about
bro.
like real world bullying, you know.
That's
like,
true though. I feel
But-
like I mean, there's probably like in different parts of the world, like I feel like the culture, like bullying culture is kind of different. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe this is just an assumption, like based off of like watching K-dramas, but I feel like bullying in like Korea looks like it sounds
way
really
different than
bad.
here in
Yeah.
America
And
and
all
stuff.
the Reddit stories on it. as
Yeah,
well.
it's just
wait,
like
can you like elaborate?
hardcore.
I don't watch many
Okay,
K-dramas.
They like they're
How
so
dare you?
Yeah.
lots, of,
Yeah.
lots of physical abuse.
Yeah, it was
like
very
a lot.
physical.
And
But then
no
I-
help for it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I might just be saying like nonsense right now, but like I think like the suicide rate is like higher and stuff like
I
that.
think it's
so?
The
because
schooling
like
ish-
in
or-
like Korea and like Japan, a lot of it's like your image, and I know in Korea it's like a lot of your facial and physical image.
right. That's true.
So like a lot of people have
There's
a
like
lot
a
of
hard
insecurities.
emphasis
Yeah, like a
on it,
hard
yeah.
like your whole family will literally tell you to get plastic surgery
Yeah.
just
or,
to like look good for society,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is like
It's
that's
really
like hard.
like,
it's really
Yeah.
sad though.
Like in
like-
India, like they'll be like, "Oh,
Oh,
you're
like-
so tan."
Yeah, whitening cream,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Whitening
yeah.
creams and bleaching
Mhm.
skin.
It's weird though, 'cause it's like it can really affect your mental health. Like especially, I feel like it's also different when it comes from like family. 'Cause like
Yeah.
like if they're commenting on your appearance and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
that can I don't know, that can hurt, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now-
Especially because it's so close to you. It's like they've seen like you through all the different states, and then they choose.
And
to
then they
insult
choose
you
to
now.
put you down. That's
Yeah.
like yeah. I
Do you
feel
think it's harder coming from family because you expect them to be there for you instead of being the ones perpetrating the bullying?
Yeah, definitely.
Like depending, yeah. Sometimes you can also just be ready to just tune them out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes it's like a reoccurring thing with families, so you know, you
Mm.
just don't acknowledge it anymore.
yeah.
But sometimes if you do expect them to still be there for you, it's like it hurts you more.
Mm.
I think
It
like
does.
friendships also, like if my friends like were to insult me like that, I would be like really hurt. Like,
yeah, of course,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Then I would
Yeah.
just
You
not.
take more what they say to heart than others because like you're friends with them for a reason.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
Yeah,
That's
like,
actually
you
true.
chose,
Like, not
you
necessarily
chose
the-
them,
Not
right?
necessarily like approval, but like like you want to be liked by them because you like them.
Yeah,
Just
and
like-
you
Mhm.
like chose to be friends with them. Like you didn't choose your family really.
Do you
Yeah.
think that we have like an expectation of our friends to be nice to us? That's why we're friends with them. like,
Yeah,
it's not like a,
No,
it's
you
not
know
like you're
what?
entitled
what?
to
You
it.
know what
but
I
do
like,
that bully me.
you
You know what
every
I
expect
do
them.
believe though is there are
What?
some people who are like I don't want to say this like they're like dissing these people, but I feel like there are some people who like get into relationships or friendships where like they are abused. Like
Oh, like toxic relationships.
yeah, like toxicity, like and like they might not even be conscious of it, you know?
I think to some extent they are conscious
Yeah,
of it.
conscious.
Because I
but,
do
like,
have a lot of people that I know that are
that are
in
like
those
that, yeah,
situations
yeah,
or
yeah.
that prefer to be in those situations, and I think that's because of the environment that they grew up in.
grew up in.
Isn't
If
it like
you-
the love you deserve or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like
They just
Huh.
consider it normal.
if
right?
if they've grown up in such a toxic environment from childhood, and that
Mm,
that's all that they've ever known, you know,
No.
like that kind of like love-hate relationship going on and like
right.
the abuse and stuff, then like feeling something else might
Mhm.
feel out of the norm, and then it might be scary for them, so that they actually
Yeah.
want to stick to what they're more comfortable with, which is being abused, which isn't fun, but
yeah,
that's the reality of some people's situation, and it just takes a lot of for them to actually get out of it. It may like
Damn.
seem easier for us because we weren't in that situation, but for
Right.
them it's really scary, you know, to experience something different.
Wow, that was deep, man.
that was
I
deep, guys.
yeah, I was thinking about that, but I didn't really know. Like, yeah, that
It's
makes
just
so
like-
much sense.
That just like go into our next topic, you know, how much does environment affect people's mental health?
Wow, Shad, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yo, don't be looking at me like that.
Damn, we
Y'all
got
gotta
like
talk
our
too
times.
much.
A ton.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean environment? Like, do you mean the weather? Do you mean like
No, I mean
do,
like
scenarios.
the people around you, you know.
Yeah, like
if
the
you're-
trees. Like,
No,
how
it's
do they
seasonal
affect your mental
depression,
health?
guys? If it's
Okay,
winter,
yeah,
it feels
no,
like
she does have a
that's what I was
point.
thinking.
Seasonal
But-
depression.
Oh,
is
true.
I feel
real.
like
That's
for
so
the
real.
environmental thing, it definitely is a ton because like if it is like a toxic scenario or it's environment, then like if you're still in that, you can't really change from that, because it's like you can work on small things, but that the main thing that's giving you a problem is that toxic environment. You can't change that until you actually leave that scenario or environment. I don't know why I use scenario.
Environment.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think it affects a lot.
I think if I was in a jungle, I would feel
It's about the
environment.
You know what, you go for it.
If I was in a jungle, I would feel more stressed because it's like more closed off, right? There's so many leaves everywhere. You would feel so anxious from trying to expect the unexpected, but then
You prefer like a empty
I want a
plain,
prairie land.
But
I
you will
want
be used to it.
around
You
me.
want
You will be used to
Alberta,
your jungle
Canada.
environment,
Huh?
though. You
What?
will be like used.
I would be
to
used to my jungle,
Yeah.
but imagine you have to climb up trees just to see like
But if that's your
6 feet
norm,
around you.
But that's your norm
Yeah.
from the day
that would
one.
be your normal
Yeah, but
thing.
But why would I want that to be my
But that's
norm?
but it is your norm if that's where you were born.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Wouldn't you like get
Like,
used
everyone
to it
around
at
you
one
tells you
Well,
point?
if
Yeah.
you get used to it, yeah. But would you really be used to wanting to? Would you really want to be used to be feeling like anxious
Well,
of
you wouldn't
not
want
knowing
to.
what's next?
But I feel like if you're like from their scenario or from the environment, then if you keep going, everyone's telling you climb the tree, because we're all climbing the tree.
Yeah.
You're gonna start climbing the tree, and then you're gonna be telling other people to climb the
I
tree.
guess. I guess. But imagine if you're like in a jungle, like a tree house or something.
But you wouldn't know what
Yeah.
tree
Where are we
house
going
is.
with
Oh my
this? Actually,
God.
Where is this going?
I'm thinking, guys, like with like emotion.
Okay, listen. Like, let's
Okay,
suppose
maybe-
you grow up in a toxic household, right? And you're not aware about like things like there are good people out there. There are good treatments.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't
You
Yeah.
wouldn't
know.
expect that.
Like
Thank
like
you and I. Thank
Like,
you.
that's what I said.
think of the jungle like the
Someone-
toxic household.
Yeah,
You know?
Okay.
exactly. This is what's
Like,
it
you
called?
will be used to all that
analogy.
Yeah.
Analogy.
that's what I was
Yeah.
meaning. Is
Analogy.
That's what I was
I
meaning.
just
If you were
moved
born
my-
there, then you're gonna be used to it, and there's not gonna be much else because you're not gonna.
Because you're not gonna know about those
Yeah.
Alberta
Yeah.
prairies that
No.
you
So
love
then-
so much.
So then how do you get outside of that environment?
Well,
You
you
know?
have
You
to
climb.
build confidence to leave that environment in the
Yeah.
Courage,
first
Oh,
place.
right?
yes.
It's
Emotional.
such like a scary thing to go somewhere that you don't know. You know, like
That's
if you're so like
true.
let's say you're so used to being here in Calgary, okay, and then you have to move by yourself with no help, or even like just a little bit of help, but most of it's by yourself to somewhere across the world
London.
and
Mhm.
live there by yourself.
No.
Is that not
Worst.
scary
That's the
for
worst
you?
place.
It's
Of
a-
course
It being
it's-
out of
yeah, it
being
is
somewhere
scary.
that you've never
build
been,
like a shield or
you don't know
something.
anybody
A jungle
there.
shield.
That is
Tarzan.
kind of
It
scary.
requires a lot of courage.
It
Yeah.
Yeah.
does require a lot of courage.
Oh,
Imagine
And so
moving
going
to
off of
London.
that, for
Oh.
that courage, did any of you get that if you were in any scenario? Did you get that support to even help you like get to that point of courage to?
Definitely, I
Change
feel
something.
like you do need support. I don't think it's possible to do it by yourself, but it's really really hard. I
Mm.
think when you have support, you feel more comfortable and
Mhm.
you're able to kind of make those situations easier for yourself.
Yeah.
Like I can say like a personal example for me was when I joined like the Antics Arts dance program and stuff.
oh yeah. Dang, that was a long time ago.
I'm not a
right?
dancer, and it took me like a lot of
That's
courage just to
cool.
like even like bust out like a little move.
That was
You
a
know?
cool group of people.
So with that, you know, like I couldn't do it by myself, so I had to
Mhm.
get the people around me to help make me feel more
Wait, when
comfortable.
did you join Antics?
Like 2016, I think.
Dang,
Wow.
how old were you?
Wait, are we
I was like,
to-
I don't know. I was like
Young.
15 or something.
Oh, that's
Maybe
cool
like 14.
though.
I don't remember.
I
It's
don't
too long.
remember.
So if you have had like a situation where your mental health was affected or something like that, did you get support? Were you able to find someone who supported
Yeah,
you?
for sure. I
for-
feel like once
sure.
you find like friends and people to talk to you,
Yeah.
those are your support groups. Those
And
are
it's
like your
really
foundation.
important.
You know, you're like you are what the people, or I don't know how to explain
The
it properly.
people.
You are the people.
You are like the people around you show who you are, kind of in a way, right? The people you surround yourself are who you are going to be. So if you surround yourself with very supportive people, then you're gonna be a very supportive person. You're gonna feel very supported in what you do. But if you surround yourself with people that like talk
Not
down on you and
supportive.
stuff like that, then yeah, you're gonna be more of like a very timid, very shy person and stuff like that.
I think
For
it's
sure.
important to like also ask for help when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I think it's hard though. Like, if you don't already have that support, then where do you go? And like,
And to
Yeah.
ask for help, it's
right?
like that courage is like now you need to make
Yeah,
that for
because you're
yourself, 'cause
you're
no
you're
one's
being
telling
vulnerable,
you to, you know?
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like you're put in that situation.
Like, there's a
I
lot of
don't
people
know.
about like mental health and stuff that there's not enough people who are like, you can reach out, you can ask for
Mhm.
help, you should ask for help.
And then where do you go, right, to find
I
that
feel like
Well-
if you're
Yeah.
in a toxic situation, you wouldn't know how to perceive it any other way, and it's
Yeah.
really important to have
Right.
such friends that will help you.
help
you know?
Yeah.
Definitely
that's
better to
true.
have like an outside perspective.
Yes,
And I feel like
Yeah.
with like mental health being so like stigmatized, it's really hard.
Mhm.
But then now, like in the present day, there's a lot of like support people like coming out
Yeah.
saying, "Here, this is
Like,
where you
I mean,
can
even
go,"
us
and-
just having this podcast about
yeah.
mental health is like, you know, we're
But
trying
we-
to break down that.
Yeah, that we're changing a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember in middle school, those like people who would come and like talk about mental health and stuff. They talk about their own stories.
Oh yeah.
I remember this dude in middle school came and he talked about how he got like shot 2 times.
Oh
And
my
his-
god.
remember? And
Okay, that's
yeah, you were there.
freaky.
And his like mental health was associated with that.
Wasn't he getting
Yeah.
robbed?
He was getting or something, and he was talking about like how he got through it and stuff. He
I
was,
vaguely remember
Like
that. Yeah.
trauma and stuff.
drama.
Trauma.
Trauma.
Not
You
can get, like,
It
drama.
drama.
wasn't, it wasn't it hard because all he was getting robbed for was something like so little, and he got
Yeah.
shot for it or something.
Dang, you could probably
Mhm.
get like PTSD from that, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Just-
reaching
hard.
out for help as well. Like it's so
yeah. But
it's so hard.
yeah, but for me, like, I definitely I definitely struggled with my mental health after like going through a whole bunch of stuff with like my skin, and I just remember being like, I don't know, like toughest time of my life. But I found a therapist, and shout out to her name's Mariko, but like she was super
Woo.
cool. She helped me a lot, but I just feel like even looking back at it now, like it cost money, right? And I'm like, how do people find like therapy or like support? Like, I know there's like probably like some of those free spaces or whatever, but like,
And going off that, like,
Yeah.
there's certain for specific things. There's only therapists for like specific things, and then you're
Mhm.
paying like extra for that specific person.
Yeah.
And so that's like $200 an hour.
yeah,
like-
it's a lot of money.
so now it's like they only like the supports that are like minimum are like the people who are now like, think about it, like you're not paying them, so who's paying them and how much are they getting paid for this? Like, do they really want to be there for that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Are you
And
guys
it's
saying?
also-
Oh,
I-
sorry to cut you
sorry, no.
off.
It's like there's like the Alex Center has like therapists and stuff.
Oh right.
But
Yeah,
the
we
thing is,
have
so-
that at our
yeah.
school.
It feels like if I were to go there for like my little problems, I would feel like a burden because like there's people there with bigger problems, you know.
well, just to
They have
mention,
like they have like things at home going on and stuff. It would feel like I'm taking up their time and I'm wasting the therapist's
Mhm.
time for something that's so like small. You
what was
know?
I mentioned about that? I really feel like it should be talked about more that therapists are for everybody. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even like anything if you have a major thing going on for
Mhm.
you, or like if you're diagnosed or anything like that. Like, it's so important to have somebody to talk to outside of like family issues or friend issues, because you're always gonna have something like that.
But going
Yeah.
back to Angeli, I feel like your feelings or your mental health, like, I feel like I don't know, your mental health matters, and like even if you're going through what you may see as like a little problem, like it's still valid, you know?
That's
And I think that's a
Uh.
really important point because, you know, this is what, like, I was going through a time where I was like, I think this was like in grade 7. I was like, it's me against the world kind of like phase,
yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was like during that time, I was like, me against the world. And I'm like, nobody else will ever understand what I'm going through kind of thing. But what I kind of realized, as I'm getting older is like everybody goes through a lot in their life, you know?
Mhm.
Even if it seems like a little problem compared to your friend, or like, you know, people are like, oh, some people will talk more about their mental health, for example, and you'll be like, you know, my experience is not as
Yeah.
important, right? But I feel like, you know, everybody's mental health, no matter what, it matters, right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like, you know, you want to contribute to society, you want to contribute to, like, you know, I don't know, making everybody else feel better or whatever. So I feel like, yeah, at the end of the day, you know, everybody matters.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah,
Don't invalidate your
I
feelings.
can't remember.
Oh.
I think what I was gonna say is what can be other alternatives to if we couldn't afford a therapist, you know?
Art.
Oh my
Especially.
god. Yes. That
Taking
is
out,
Would you like
like,
to elaborate on that?
Me? I mean, I've tried doing art and stuff when I'm sad.
That's the thing about left brain and right brain.
Yeah.
So art is for one of them, and then
The one of
and then I
them.
think math is for the other one. So like,
Yeah.
you have a good balance of both, where you're like thinking and then
Yeah.
it can help
Yeah.
you. Actually, being sad, you should do math.
No, that's
Math.
what I
over-
did.
Over
I did
art
try
or
doing
something like that.
Yeah. I tried doing
math when you're
Yeah, I've
sad?
done, like-
Math makes me
Okay,
sad.
yeah, but like doing something where you're like, it's something like
Yeah.
that. Whatever, like it's one of the brain
Yeah.
size. If you
Yeah,
do it more
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, it's for sad.
Yeah, like when when you're younger, like your parents like my parents like never instilled any creativeness in me. They never like told me to do anything creative, and they told me that was a waste of time, right? So whenever I was sad, what I did was I just did like math problems over and over again, and then if I got you know like one question wrong, I would like limit myself from my phone or something. You know, that's what I think that was a bad way to do it though, to be honest.
Yeah.
Actually, I just realized talking about it. I think but I think that made me kind of like numb in a sense, because I just kind of focused on doing
That's actually so true.
multiplication and division, just long,
Yeah.
like just kept going with it and stuff.
I think when I was young, I think I got mental health problems from math.
yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
your dad making
No,
you like trying to
'cause
teach
math
you or
is
something.
so
Oh my god.
bad.
It's
Oh
probably
my
like
God.
the emotions you like associate with it though, you know? Like when you like deal with your like first generation immigrant parents, then like
Yeah.
they're like
looking over your
at
shoulder.
at
They're
the
like-
dinner table, and you're
Oh,
like
yeah.
starting to cry, and
It's
it's
so
falling on the
funny.
math
Yeah.
paper. Oh my god.
That
start
TikToks about that, bro.
Yeah,
There's so
bro.
Oh,
many.
yeah, it's just like that
My
like
papers would come back crumpled, bro.
Yeah,
It was like I'd be
Literally
sad.
just, like, what stains on
Yeah.
you have like a sense of like fear, like
Yeah, yeah,
stress
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
Like I feel
yeah.
like that like
Frustration.
associates with those
Like
things,
if you're
but like
like if you're struggling with it, you'll obviously feel insecure. Like for me, when I was struggling with math, I would like start comparing myself with other good math students in class, and I was like,
Yeah.
why can't I do it? So obviously that didn't make me feel good, and I hated math. I still hate it, by the way. Yeah.
Wait,
And
I feel like going back to like I don't know who said this, but like art being like helping your mental health or whatever. Like, do you guys have anything to say on that?
I would like to say that I think with art, a lot of people associate with a good thing for mental health because it gives them a reason to feel out their emotions. Like Angeli said, that math and stuff did make her feel numb, and I feel like that's what is making a lot of negative emotions, like keeping yourself numb and kind of like repressing what you could feel.
But I feel like art makes you feel alive.
art makes you feel the
right?
opposite. It makes you feel like even if you're like sad, like you're actually feeling something instead of feeling nothing, you know?
Yeah, and art.
Like that onto that.
I can't think of anything.
How
bro.
does producing make
How
you
does
feel?
art make
Yeah,
you
how
feel
does producing
alive?
make you feel?
Does it ever make you like really stressed, or do you ever get in like
it really
a zone?
depends, because the thing about art and being an artist is that over time, if you do it for long enough and you do it and you start getting like a monetary gain from it, it will not become an outlet. It will become a chore,
Yeah.
which is
That's really
something that
interesting.
I'm like
Yeah.
trying to not let that happen, because it's happened to me before where I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, sorry. I gotta make a beat for this person. I gotta go send out this, and
Oh,
then the
yeah.
second that I'm done it, I just want to go lay in bed and do nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest, I ghosted like everybody who sent me money for music. I just wanted to make music for me, and that's how it's going right now.
Yeah, that's interesting, 'cause I was watching this like this is kind of random, but I was watching this this like music competition or something like that. It was like Jay Park's like he made some sort of competition for people to join his like record label or whatever, and they were talking about that line where like, you know, it's dangerous when, you know, what you love and what you do becomes, you know, you feel like you have to, it becomes like a chore.
Or maybe like your whole worth starts depending on that certain thing. That's
Mm.
not good.
Yeah, I
It's-
definitely
yeah.
feel like this is with my like art account or whatever. I was, instead of thinking about like just like having that like just expressing myself as myself, I was more thinking about like, I don't know, like the followers, and then like, you know, trying to get
Oh,
so many
yeah.
likes and stuff like that. Like I definitely felt like that was like, it started feeling like a chore and like not something that I love.
How did you get out of that? Or are you still into
I'm
that
still
level?
in that stage.
Well,
Well, I don't know. How do you?
I can add
How
on
do
to
you?
that.
Yeah.
I can add on to that. So for me with my photography account, that was one of the questions I did post to myself. I was, when will this turn into a chore for me, or if this does turn into a chore for me, how can I escape that feeling?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I figured out is split it up, you know, have some things for business, but some things kind of like for yourself. For me, the business aspect would be like taking the portraits, doing those car pictures, doing like those real estate pictures, you know, everything that's like generating money. I'd keep that for the money thing, but like when I want to like get out of that, when I'm feeling like it's becoming a chore for me, then I'll just do like street photography, nature photography, you know, trying to like splitting it up so like my kind of expressionism stays as my expressionism and my business stays as my business.
Dang.
But I still love what I'm doing, kind of thing.
That sounds so professional.
Businessism.
Businessism, yes.
Businessism. Yeah. That's.
Mm. Yeah.
I feel like that's a good solution. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
experimenting. I feel like that's the way.
But I just, I hope that, I don't know, in the future, like, I hope that it doesn't get worse in, like, whatever I do, you know? 'Cause, like,
Yeah.
kind of scary.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope I get more hobbies in the future.
Mm-hmm. Like,
You know?
I feel like we're still young and we still have more time to explore ourselves.
Yeah.
So, like,
that's
when you
true.
get older, you can definitely, make more hobbies and
Yeah.
kind of just figure out what else you can do. You know, you're not just limited to what you're doing right now. Kind of, you're still in school and stuff, and you have those other things to worry about. But once you have more free time, you can figure out what else you want to do. You know?
Yeah, it's like a lot of old people who start hobbies,
Oh
like
yeah.
painting and
Yeah.
stuff.
Old people.
I'll
Elder
be
Which they end up
grandma.
real good about it. Like,
Yeah, they do.
I don't know when Bob Ross started, but he's old.
Bob Ross.
Yeah. Bob
Yeah.
Ross, yes.
And
Yeah,
like,
I have
lot
a
of people that do
neighbor.
watch those
And
videos.
just old people
I
and
have
stuff.
I have a neighbor. He's like pretty like old. He's retired and stuff. And he's like he used to be an engineer.
Mhm.
And now he does so
Dang.
many hobbies. He does like stargazing. He does like he fixes bikes and stuff. He
That's like
fix-
my grandfather for real. Like
I know, I'm like-
he worked his ass off. Okay, wait, I think I should say that. But like he
Okay.
worked really hard his entire life, and then now he's like not as stressed. He's like super chill. He's like baking all the time. He's like, I don't know. Yeah, doing a whole bunch of things, playing chess. Yeah. I feel like relating back to what we were talking about, like the other question before about like, you know, how have you used like creativity or art as like an outlet? Like how does that relate to what we're doing right now with Create or Die? And how has Create or Die been like an outlet for you guys? Or how has it like been a support, you know?
It
That's
makes
a good question.
Yeah. It makes me feel good 'cause I was like meeting new people, doing something new.
Oh yeah, I remember I was sitting next to Angeli in like ELA. We were like in the computer lab, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this thing." And Angeli's like, "Can I come?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
It sounded fun. Photography.
Because Indy, our facilitator, was like, "Oh, we need more people." Like,
Oh yeah,
So
recruited.
yeah, we need a
Oh, yeah.
recruit. Yeah,
And
So-
look where we are now.
I
Hey.
know.
I
we
know,
recruited
so
more.
far.
For me, Angeli just kept going AWOL on a certain day of the week, and I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, something." She
Oh,
comes.
no, I
Some-
told you.
We
The
just
worst
were-
recruiter ever. But how did that like experience
Yeah.
at Create or Die
Yeah.
How does that like help with your creativity or like?
Definitely gave like way more options than what I had in school. Like I hadn't heard about any of this kind of thing happening before, and I mean he had like a bunch of these cameras and stuff. We got to take pictures. It was just more of like like we had talked about it in other podcasts, but like more open. And like in school is like you get this camera, you get 2 minutes with it, you take a picture of this one item. Like they would tell us you take a picture of that shovel and then that's it. That's all you can take a picture of.
Yeah.
This one's like you get to actually experiment and see what you like.
Yeah,
I
you
like
get
how
to
it was,
explore
like smaller
more.
groups,
Like
like
way more things about it. Like
yeah,
you gotta edit a
Yeah.
picture. It was just cool. I liked it a lot.
creating videos and stuff. It was fun. Yeah.
Now going back to your point, like how you assumed what the whole film lab thing was, it just shows that giving new things a chance is really good because you get to explore more about yourself. I feel like this space has definitely helped me explore more of my
Creative
like love
side?
for photography. At first I knew that I love it, but I was just kind of like disregarding it, that it's just random, it's nothing deep. But now I know that no, it's not just random. I do love it.
Yeah, for me, like when we first came to the film labs, I was like kind of uneasy if I want to like pursue photography or stuff because like everyone around you like tells you like, hey, this is not very practical, or like this is not gonna be like a proper career choice or anything like that. So like just like see like Indy just kind of give us a camera, like a $5,000 camera, like yo, mess around with this and have fun. We're gonna make some cool projects. I was like, yo, I'm really messing with this, and like I see ourselves going like somewhere far, especially after meeting all you guys and collaborating and like making like cool ideas and like having that whole whiteboard that we had with, like, all those ideas and the sticky notes. We have so many ideas, and I'm like excited for what we can do in the future.
Going back to our question, I feel like just being able to like go to a program like this or having like seeing other creative people has made me feel like more seen. Like the fact that creativity and pursuing creativity is like an actual job, and like I don't know, I just felt like there was so much support behind it. And like even seeing some of the other programs and like for example like the rap program or whatever, and seeing how like people just like support each other and like feel like I don't know, it's just really cool to see other creative people.
Yeah, like there's like never a day where we didn't have fun,
Yeah.
Like, we're just always messing around.
We're just always
and we just came up with like
around.
something, and then we'd have like a finished product by the end,
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, yes.
So everybody's been talking about their experiences. Hickey, how's your experience with the Create or Die podcast? And
It's only been like
with us
4 weeks.
Well, you guys were all in like film labs. You already have done stuff together. I'm like brand new here. It's been fun. It's definitely really different for what I normally do. It's been good and a little bit bad too, cause I have a lot of like I'm like a really socially anxious person. So like being here and talking in front of a microphone and like
It's like
talking
out of
to
your
everyone
comfort
else
zone.
and like I don't really
Yeah.
feel like I belong. It's like really, it's good and bad because I like coming here and I like talking about the stuff we talk about, but I definitely have it's really hard to do for me. But
Thank you for
I'm
coming.
I
definitely
agree.
trying my
Yeah.
hardest.
But I feel like, sort of adding to that, like getting out of your comfort zone, like I feel like that's a very like courageous thing to do. And I just know like going, when I first was like thinking of going to the film labs or whatever, I was like really scared of like going there. And then when I was there, I was like, oh, should I? But then immediately I felt like, I could, relate to these people in a way that I felt like I couldn't relate with other people who were maybe not as creative. Yeah.
Like it definitely feels like home. That's for sure. Being with you guys, just like it just feels natural. It just feels good, and hopefully for Hickey, it'll feel like the same for you once we hang out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or
For
we get
sure.
some more things going on with the program. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Hickey, have you ever experimented with photography or anything, or videography?
Just wanted to.
You
I've
was-
never.
There's your
always wanted to.
opportunity.
Yeah.
I think I literally talked to was it Indy or Mattis? I talked to someone about how, cause you said that you wanted to like experiment with music stuff.
Yeah.
It was like after the first episode, and I was like, oh, she wants to experiment with music. I want to experiment with photography.
We
Like,
could
I'm
do
so
an
excited to see
exchange.
how this will play out.
Yeah, no,
But-
I'm definitely looking forward to that. I feel like if you could teach me some of the ropes,
The rope.
The
That
road-
would be
you
super
do the same. You
sick.
do the same.
yeah, that would be super cool.
Like,
Have
I don't like do photography as like an art thing, but like all my friends would get me to take their pictures because I'm like I don't know how, but I know framing a little bit, like a little bit.
Yeah, you have
Like,
an
you know,
eye.
I put the grid thing on the iPhone camera, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, the great
no,
thing.
trying to
Yeah.
make
Wow,
everything fit
that's a
properly.
photographer.
Trying to make everything fit properly and stuff, but it's something I want to get more into. I actually have an art account that I haven't posted on.
Stop.
I made it
we
like
go.
7 months ago, and it's just a blank account. But I'm like, one day I'm gonna start this. I swear,
Yeah,
one day
I
I'm
know.
gonna start this.
Yeah, that's so relatable.
But yeah, it's just something I haven't touched up on yet, which I hope with the program I'm able to, because it's always been something I've wanted to try out.
Yeah.
The day is
Mm.
coming.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't know. I feel like the creative community in Calgary is like really supportive, or at least the people here, right? I just feel like it's attracted a certain type of like group of people who are just like very open and like welcoming, and like they want to help you,
Yeah.
and I just feel like if we keep providing that program towards other people, and letting people know we're here to help and sort of thing, that we'll get that feedback, like that good karma. Yeah,
exactly. I
Good
feel like
karma.
good karma.
I
Yeah.
feel like having
believe-
that good environment around you definitely does
Yeah.
invoke more creativity,
Yeah.
with
Mm-hmm.
helping each other out, and instead of being like competition, we're all like friends with each other, because
Yeah.
there's not many
Mhm.
creatives in Calgary, but
Yeah.
slowly growing as a community, that's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it is growing for sure, and like we're definitely all a part of that. So that's a cool thing. Yeah.
So we've talked about how like creating art helps us as individuals and how it like helps our mental health, but how do you think people who are going through mental health, what do you think they should do?
Like consume.
Like
Right.
what should they consume? What entertainment, what anything should they do to help theirs?
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like one of the things that people do consume to help their mental health would be like reading, music, things like that,
TV
things,
shows.
TV shows, like
Media.
something that will change your mood, like a lot of
Mhm.
people when they're sad, they'll listen to sad music, and then they'll kind of like relate with the artist, and then from there then they'll listen to happier music, and then they'll get in a happy mood, and then from there-
I've
Yeah.
definitely found that like one time I was going through Lauv. I don't know if you guys know Lauv, but he made like, I don't know, very famous song. But anyways, I was like listening to his music, and it was like all really sad, and then I felt like I went from a state of like being neutral to getting like really sad
So
just from the
Are you
music.
saying sometimes it doesn't help when we're consuming like stuff like
I
music?
feel like it definitely influences your emotion and your like energy. Yeah. I mean, it can be good though, because I feel like you can like feel like you can relate for sure,
Yeah.
and that's like very therapeutic.
There's like there's some songs where you just repeat 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like no, but yeah,
You mean like on a loop?
yeah, like on a loop. And sometimes there's songs that are just really sad. So sometimes it's like I just get really sad, while I'm listening to the same song over and over again, and it just
Yeah.
feels like like not like I'm not supposed to be this
Shitty.
sad. I don't even have a reason to be this sad. But I'm just listening to the song, and all of a sudden it's like my life's a little sad.
Yeah, so the type of media you
Aw.
consume
Yeah.
really impacts, right?
Yeah.
But what's something good that you can consume to
That's
help
Talking
your
about
mental health?
negativity.
Instead of just making yourself sad, what can you listen to or do to make
Make-
yourself happier?
Listen to happy music.
Ooh.
Bruno Mars.
Or like
Shout out
I
Bruno
feel like
Mars.
finding music that's like relatable and stuff like that, or finding music that just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Books, yeah.
Books.
I love reading.
Yeah.
Do you have like
Those
a
fantasy ones.
comfort song or like a comfort movie, a comfort book that
Oh.
you read?
Oh, that's a good question.
Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars. Every day.
Uptown Funk you up. Uptown Funk you up.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
used to listen to that during gym class. Got me in the mood to run laps all the time.
I have a good if you guys know Studio Ghibli,
Oh yeah.
Miyazaki.
Yeah.
Oh my god, his stuff, because it's like it goes back to like my childhood, right? So it's like really comforting when you watch it, and it's also like very feel good and very visually
Yeah.
nice to
Yeah.
look at.
Well, what makes you feel good about it? Like, what makes you have that emotion from watching the Studio Ghibli shows?
I feel like they always, all the movies always have a really good lesson at the end, but I feel like there's also emphasis on like childhood and like just like, you know, even though you go through like hardship or whatever, you can always find your way, you know, through all of that. And I feel like going back to that is always like, it's always like fantastical in a way. Like there's always like fantasy. There's always a fantasy element in it, because I feel like, I don't know, it just like sparks your imagination and like
Does
who
it also
you could
like
be.
invoke nostalgia?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, like the
Does-
nostalgic.
Does
part of your
nostalgia make you
childhood.
feel good or bad?
I feel like good for me, at least. Yeah, when I think about it.
That's good.
So do you think shows like the Studio Ghibli one, where it makes you remember your childhood, what happens if someone's never been through that and they've had a bad childhood? Do you think that would give them a place to feel good, or do you think that'd make them feel worse?
I feel like, I don't know how to describe this, but I feel like either way, Studio Ghibli would have an impact on you where you feel vulnerable, but you also feel like, I don't know, you just feel good. You feel happy after. You feel calm.
Yeah. It's so
And
colorful,
peaceful.
the movies and the
Yeah, and I feel
sound.
like there's always like, I mean, either way you approach it, like my relationship to it was like, you know, looking back at my childhood, but people, because art is objective, right? So
That's
when
true.
you consume media or whatever, it's always objective and you have an objective lens. So it always depends on the person. But I feel like,
Do you mean subjective?
oh, so
It's subjective.
what's the
right, I think.
difference? What's the difference between objective and subjective?
Isn't like objective like there is no personal lens, and then subjective is like each individual's
Give
view
their
on
own
it,
lens.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Am I tripping or?
I think
I'm
that's,
bad.
that's
You're
the
probably right, because my reading comp is trash.
You're reading comp.
That's one part of her childhood she didn't want to remember.
Yeah.
Wait, subjective means like,
Yeah,
Your
like for example, like
individual.
art is subjective.
okay, yeah, art is subjective, but then objective would be like,
Like, oh, the sky's
I
blue.
feel like objective
think,
is more
right?
like no, objective
I
would
don't
be
know.
more like in criticism too.
Yeah, like having a
So like when you're
motive.
like
having an
objective
objective.
to something,
Yeah,
you'd be
purpose.
in criticism
Oh,
to
okay,
it.
okay, that
Okay,
makes sense.
okay.
Yeah, subjective. That's what I meant. Yes.
Criticism
Sorry, I
versus
didn't mean
like
to-
No, it's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
It's good. It's good that you told me.
Yeah,
Now I
it'd be
learned
like-
something.
criticism versus kind of like how you view it, like perspective. That's what it is. Criticism versus perspective.
Yeah.
Subjective and objective. Yeah.
Okay, so we're running low on time now. I want to give everybody one last opportunity to say something they have to they want to say to the people at home about mental health. Does anybody want to go first?
I'll say always seek help if you need it. You're never alone. You know, there's people going through the same thing as you.
Very
Yeah,
true.
just don't go through anything alone.
Check on your friends.
Yeah.
Make sure you keep up with people,
Yeah.
because, you know, people like to do their own thing in silence, and it's always nice to have someone just check up on you.
You matter. Everybody matters. And try new things. Get out of your comfort zone. And I mean, if there's something you've always wanted to try out, do it. And you never know, like there will always be, you know, a way out of like a situation. So, yeah.
I would say acknowledge your feelings and surround yourself with good people and grow together.
Wow.
Preach.
You got anything?
Very inspirational.
Yeah. Don't disregard yourself, guys. You matter.
Yay.
And Maya. Reach out.
Why was that all
That's the
very?
end.
That was all very like a small, short, like little like inspirational quotes.
Chill.
Like,
Okay, so this is the end of episode 3.
yeah,
Is it
good
now?
job, guys.
Yeah, good job.
Let's go.
Good job. Oh my god, guys, this is the end of episode 3.
Yes.
Good job.
Oh
Pat
my
yourselves on the back,
God.
guys.
Wonderful.
Pat yourselves on the back. You're not
Yeah.
patting yourself on the back, guys, man.
I'm patting myself on the knee. It's
Yeah.
On the knee.
Pat your friends. Give them some encouragement. And we'll see you next time, guys.
Yay.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Check us out on creatordie.cc. We're going to be posting more stuff on there. Peace out and take care.
fine. We love you.
Bye.
Very much.